Hall of Fame running back Emmitt Smith was asked why he thought Todd Monken wouldn't commit to Shedeur Sanders as the starting quarterback.
I guess coaches want to make sure that guys know that there is no security in their position, and they want them to be as competitive and compete for the job. No one wants to hand anything to them. This is the way that they're treating Shedeur. But they handed it to Drake May.
Yes, they did.
They handed to kid out in San Diego. They also handed to the kid in Jacksonville. They also handed to Sam Darnold. They also handed to other players. So, and what does Cleveland have? Absolutely nothing. So what's the debate? Are you going to give it to Dylan again? I mean, when you have players, see, the one thing about players.
You just gave me goosebumps, Emmitt.
One thing about players, they know who their captains are, and they know who their leaders are, and they know who they can believe and who they trust in. It's the organization, it's the coaches that have to get it right.
So, Quincy, Drake May was third overall pick. Justin Herbert, the kid in San Diego, was seventh overall pick. Trevor Lawrence was the number one overall pick. Here's a thought. Maybe Todd Monken doesn't want to come out and say, we're going to go get somebody either via free agency, trade, or draft that's going to be our starting quarterback.
Happened and where people are on this issue is fascinating to me because, like, he's comparing Shedeur Sanders, who did not necessarily have a great season this year. You could argue that it was a bad season on a number of metrics. I think it's a very reasonable argument you can make there. And we're comparing him to Drake May and top 5 picks and treating him like this. It's like people have not accepted that he fell in the draft, and that has consequences, right? It has consequences for everybody who falls in the draft. It's not necessarily, well, it might be Shedeur's fault because he was part of his own pre-draft process that apparently made people uncomfortable to the point where he fell in the 5th round. But it's just like, hey, he wasn't announcing Shedeur as the starter because Shedeur has not played to the level to where anybody in their right mind with a job on the line is going to sit here and be like, yeah, I'm announcing that guy as the starter, except for maybe Deion, his dad. And even if Deion were the coach here, I would think he would be hesitant after what we saw in year one, just because it wasn't that good. That doesn't mean that Shedeur can't be better next year. That doesn't mean that Shedeur can't improve. But we got to be realistic about what we saw from Shedeur last year. That's not a level of play where somebody's going to go, oh, yeah, we're going to put all our chips into this guy and announce him as our week 1 starter in February. That's really, like, insane to me. He's going to have to beat somebody out. He's going to have to prove it over the course of the next 8 months if he wants to be the starter of this team long term. And he's going to have to earn it, and it's not the worst thing in the world if he goes out there and he has to earn it, because he does have to get better than he was last year, because he was a under 500 quarterback. He was a quarterback who was under the touchdown interception ratio. You want all of that to be better next year. And if it is better, then good. But we can't just act like, oh, yeah, what we saw right there, that's enough. That's not enough for a 5th round pick to be a starting quarterback next year after a coaching change, too. Like, that's not how any of this works. And I'm just surprised at how many people who know better have just been willing to act like they don't know better. And maybe Emmitt doesn't, because he's still under the impression that Justin Herbert is playing football in San Diego, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, never in his life has he played football in San Diego, right? That team's been in L.A. the whole time that he's been in the NFL. So maybe he's just not paying that close attention to what's going on in the league, and Deion's his boy, and he's supporting Deion and his son, and it's more of a family thing. But at some point, we got to get serious, because this ain't good for Shedeur, the people to just lie about where he's been. He needs to improve. I hope he does improve. But if he doesn't improve, he won't be the starting quarterback next year. That's just what it is.